again, everyone. I think let's start with our agenda for today. I'm Mavra Bari. I am the Global Communications Lead Consultant for the SPARK program. SPARK stands for Supporting Preparedness for Article 6 Corporation, and it is funded by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action through the International Climate Initiative. The program is led by the Global Green Growth Institute, GGI, with implementation in Pakistan led by United Nations Environmental Program, Copenhagen Climate Center, and supported by GFA Consulting Group. So today we are all joined for a very specific webinar, which is to do with the waste management sector in Pakistan. And we want to be identifying opportunities for carbon markets in the country. And this webinar is part of a larger series, which is Article 6 Capacity Building for Industrial Partners in Pakistan. Following the success of our first webinar, which introduced the fundamental concepts of carbon markets and Article 6 and discussed project development in Pakistan, this second webinar will delve deeper into the waste management sector. This sector, of course, is very critical for Pakistan. We have all been victims of the smog crisis, which is very much linked with the burning of landfill waste and things like that. So with rapid urbanization and growing in waste, we definitely need solutions for better management and to mitigate our carbon and methane emissions. Also, the waste sector provides a significant opportunity for methane reduction specifically, with a large portion of the waste being biodegradable. We want to discuss that very much in detail today as well. So we very much welcome all of your insights, and we hope you learned a lot from our panel of experts. Just quickly, key objectives of the session today include, we want to highlight the role of the waste management sector in carbon change mitigation, of course. Then we want to explore the potential of carbon credit generation through management projects, using successful initiatives as a model for scaling such efforts across the country. We also want to provide insights into the financial opportunities available for the waste sector, including how to engage with carbon markets and access climate finance. Then we also want to discuss the role of G2G, government-to-government arrangement, in fostering international cooperation, with a focus on how these partnerships can support the scaling of methane capture initiatives in Pakistan. So on that note, we're very, very lucky to have one of the leading government experts on this topic. I would love to introduce Mr. Zulfiqar Younas. He is the additional secretary of the Climate Finance Wing at the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination. He is also a Pakistan member of the UNEP CCC Supervisory Board body on A6-4, working on Pakistan carbon markets, including A6 G2G and VCM. His focus is on international collaboration to secure funding for Pakistan's climate and environmental initiatives. He is leveraging partnerships with global climate funds such as GCF and GEF. I will say the team that Mr. Zulfiqar has been leading has been instrumental in orchestrating policy frameworks that support both voluntary and compliance carbon markets in the country. So over to you, Sir Zulfiqar. I hope you can hear us well.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Mavra?
Yes, sir. You're very loud and clear. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank the UNEP team, Spark 6, who has been our trusted partner in implementing the carbon market initiative in Pakistan, and Mavra, Abira, and Orva especially for organizing this very important webinar. As you know, basically, we have unleashed the carbon market segment for our economy to decarbonize our economy at the COP29. And now we have finalized our carbon market policy, and we are in the process of finalizing our rules, and then we are looking forward to setting up a secretariat. So carbon market secretariat that we have envisioned would be essentially from specialists, not from the government, regular government officers, but specialists from the carbon markets. It would be a separate setup under the ministry. And for that, we would like to also develop capacity within the private sector and also within the government ministries, entities, departments, organizations. And this webinar is part of that. This is the second webinar we are now organizing on Paris Agreement crediting mechanism, and also, on different nitty-gritties for setting up carbon credit projects. Just to brief the audience about, we have received also, as you might be knowing, earlier we had this CDM mechanism. So we have received transition requests, so we are now following and processing those requests. So they will also form a 6.4 carbon credit inventory. We have also issued LOIs now under the new policy, and we are in the process of finalizing the authorization for a couple of projects also. So all in all, while we are moving gradually to the fully functional carbon market in Pakistan, we need to develop capacities. So this is one which we are doing with the help of UNEP, Spark 6 program. And we also have similar discussions with the Asian Development Bank, with World Bank, where we are also coming up with more capacity building programs, because as we see, the carbon market is a new initiative in Pakistan. Carbon markets are at very nascent stage. We have very fewer carbon specialists, especially reduction and removal specialists. We don't have much, and also we don't have a designated operational entities for 6.4. So we need to develop those as well. So we are essentially we are having a very comprehensive approach. So not only we are involving our development partners, but we are also, we have also requested UNFCCC. They have a full-fledged capacity building for a 6.4 program. So we have requested UNFCCC also to come up with a program for Pakistan, where we would like to actually develop the trainers. So we have requested them for a train for trainer program. So we develop around 50 to 60 carbon market specialists in Pakistan who can train for carbon crediting, for how to actually make a good high quality carbon credit project. As you might be knowing, in our policy we have this essentially we have carbon integrity of the carbon credit is essential and key for us. And then we have transparency, and so we are developing our carbon registry. So all the credits that are applied for authorization or for VCM also will be dealt through our carbon registry. It would be automatically without involving any human interaction, and so to create a transparent environment. And we would also emphasize that the credits that are being generated or created should have more and more co-benefits, so that the value of the credit in the international market is good. And also we are emphasizing through our policy and all through our rules and regulations that all the carbon credits should be benefiting the local communities where the carbon credits are generated. So these are some of the things which we would like that all the carbon credit developers should keep in mind while developing credits. And I think this seminar and seminar like this in future that we'll be organizing will help us develop the requisite capacity within the Pakistan, and that help us decarbonize our economy, that helps us earn us useful foreign exchange in terms of investments in our carbon credit projects. So this is the plan that we are following now. I would now at the end would like to thank UNEP and Spark 6 program for very diligently designing this webinar, and I wish all the participants of the webinar a good learning, and I hope that some of you shortlisted will also be attending our other training sessions, which would be more kind of a focused on specific aspects of how to develop a good high quality carbon credit, how to value a carbon credit, how to interact with Vera or gold standard or registration process and all those aspects related to carbon market. So let me thank all of you for being here on attending this webinar, and also wish you a good learning. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your insights and all of the great work that the ministry is doing and will be doing in the future as well. Now I'd like to move on to our next panelist. So our next session will be introducing the Spark project a little bit more and the capacity of Article 6 in building industrial partners, particularly in the waste sector, of course, but a bit of more of a general outlook. So I'd like to introduce my colleague, Allison J. Sterling, who has been with the UNEP CCC since 2019, specializing in socio-technical transitions. She is particularly interested in how social innovations such as collective action or inclusive gender initiatives can support the diffusion of climate-friendly technologies, create new local markets and economic opportunities, promote social cohesion, and positively impact quality of life in developing countries. She is the global coordinator for the Community of Practice for the Spark program. Over to you, Allison.
Thank you, Mavra. As you said, I was just going to introduce a little bit about the Spark program, and thank you for the introduction. And also at the beginning of the webinar, you mentioned Spark kind of at a glance. That is a program led by GGGI. It's the Supporting Preparedness for Article 6 Cooperation, and it's funded by the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action in ICI. This is a 5-year project, and it has 15 different partners, international partners, over 20 million euros in budget, and it's working primarily in 4 countries, and the target is to have 8 pilot projects by the project's conclusion. To get an overview of how this project is operating, I would say the main idea behind this project is to work with our host countries into helping them develop a strategy for navigating Article 6. So there are 4 country-specific work packages within Spark, working in Colombia, Pakistan, Thailand, and Zambia. And Spark is assisting the government in these countries in developing medium and long-term emissions planning, a governance framework development, and mitigation activity development. So these are the 8 projects that we intend to have running by the end of this Spark program. There are 2 cross-cutting international work packages as well. There's the Article 6 Toolbox, which are 6 implementation guides that are available on the spark.org webpage, and they guide the practitioner through different aspects of the carbon market and under Article 6. And then there finally is the Community of Practice for Article 6 implementing countries, the so-called COP BASIC, from which I am the global lead for that. And this is a way of, this is a platform for knowledge sharing across the countries. We also working closely with universities and developing national knowledge networks and supporting young students just entering the job market to fast track them in careers in this field. The key features of the Spark program are it's a learning by doing approach. So we want to act fast and quickly integrate lessons learned, especially as Article 6 is still quite new. We want to make sure that host countries are learning from each other and have solid strategies in place. We want broad stakeholder engagement from the private sector, from academia, from other practitioners, from project developers, and the governments themselves to create this long-term impact. And we are moving beyond just capacity building. We really want to provide some decision support, so more this outcome-based focused learning and helping to understand and manage risk while participating in this market. Finally, we're catalyzing private sector investment, and this is where the project is moving in the final 2 years, is to really figure out strategies for unlocking private sector investment and interest in carbon markets. To narrow in on Pakistan, so we've had 3 sectoral studies that are now being finalized, and the one probably most relevant for the audience today is the one on waste, which should be published, is forthcoming very soon. It's just getting the final approval as we speak, so that hopefully will be out within a few days. And then we also are producing one on cement and transport, and we intend to also produce similar webinars in those sectors for Pakistan, like the one you're attending today. We have had 13 project idea notes in Pakistan submitted to the Ministry of Climate Change. 8 of them are in cement and municipal solid waste sectors, so I think we're going to see a lot of that today. And we have really prided ourselves on establishing cooperation partnerships with provincial and federal planning and development departments across Pakistan. So this is just a brief introduction, and I want to definitely leave some time for our panelists on this topic, and I thank you very much, Mavra, for giving me this opportunity to introduce Spark.
Thank you so much, Allison. Now moving forward to the next session. This is on the kind of, I would say, the thesis of today's webinar, which is advancing waste management and identifying mitigation options to carbon markets in Pakistan. And I am very excited to introduce Dr. Karima Hamouda, who is the part of the GFA consulting group, who is also a consortium partner of the SPARK program. Dr. Karima Hamouda is a senior consultant with over 13 years of experience in the environmental sector. She holds a PhD in industrial engineering and has worked with international donors and private organizations to implement green solutions in the waste management sector. She has expertise that spans the entire waste management spectrum, from diagnostic and benchmarking studies to feasibility assessments and financial evaluations. Her core competencies include strategy development, program addition to her consulting work. She has a regular guest lecturer at different universities. She has contributed to several publications in circular economy approaches, waste, electrical and electronic equipment, and greenhouse gas emissions in the waste sector. And we're very lucky that Dr. Karima has also been the lead author in a SPARK research knowledge project, which is on the decarbonization of Pakistan's waste sector, delving into the technologies, policy options, and carbon market opportunities. Before I jump into asking Dr. Karima to take over, very quickly, this report provides an assessment of the waste sector in Pakistan, its GHG emissions, future scenarios, decarbonization technologies, carbon market opportunities, and policy recommendations. It pinpoints that methane emissions from landfills are an immense source of GHG emissions in Pakistan, and key to managing the waste management infrastructure in Pakistan as well. So over to you, Dr. Karima. Looking forward to not only having your more general insights, but also going a bit more into detail of this knowledge project that you helped lead author. Also for everyone, this study is now live and available on our website. We will be sharing this with everyone after the webinar. So we look forward to going into that. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mavra. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. First of all, please excuse my voice. I have the flu, but I hope you can still understand me. So today we are talking about the identification of mitigation options in the waste sector in Pakistan. We will talk first on the context of waste management and its contribution to greenhouse gas emissions in the country. We'll explore the different possible mitigation options in waste management, and look as well at pilot projects implemented across the country, and also some ideas that might be interesting for Article 6. And finally, we will reflect on the challenges and opportunities. So as we know, with rapid population growth and urbanization, cities across Pakistan are generating large volumes of solid waste. Over 130,000 tons of waste produced daily across the country. And unfortunately, this waste is not always properly collected, treated, or disposed of. And in most areas, waste ends up in open dumps, or it's also burned sometimes, and this causes actually serious environmental and health problems. The system there is challenged by weak infrastructure, limited funding, and relatively low public awareness. However, there are actually some recycling and composting activities, but they are minimal and mostly handled by the informal sector. So we have different studies showed that organic waste is the largest component, making it up to 60% of the total waste stream. In current trends, if actually we continue with the current trends, the annual waste generation could reach approximately 60 million tons by 2050. In these studies, we generally rely on or we take into account a population growth rate of 2.1, 2.2% per annum, and also an urbanization rate of 3.5%. And these both parameters, they influence actually the total waste generated. Yeah. According to Pakistan's first biannual update report, the total greenhouse gas emissions from the waste sector in 2018 stood at 21.72 million tons of CO2 equivalent. What's striking in the distribution between solid waste disposal accounted for the largest share, with approximately around 47%. Primarily from methane emissions in unmanaged landfills. And then we have the wastewater treatment and discharge, followed closely actually by around 45%. Then we have the waste incineration and the open burning made it up to almost 8%. These data actually are very important because they provide a clear roadmap for prioritizing investment and policy action in Pakistan waste sector. So now, as always, you have this question. So what's the link between the solid waste and climate change? Why we really have to take this topic seriously? The answer simply lies in how waste is managed. So when organic waste, like food, is dumped in landfills without proper treatment, it breaks down and releases methane, and also open burning of waste, which is quite common in many parts of Pakistan, also releases black carbon. Don't forget that waste transport, recycling, and incineration also contribute in emissions, and especially when the fossil fuels are involved. This slide actually is very important because one of the biggest challenges in Pakistan's waste sector is the lack of consistent and reliable and disaggregated data. So many municipalities do not track the exact volume of or the composition of waste, especially in rural areas, and also on data on landfill conditions, wastewater discharge, informal burning. They are often really missing or outdated. Without strong data systems, the national GHG inventory relies heavily on estimates and default emission factors, and this actually can be misrepresent the real impact. So accurate data is not just a reporting requirement. It's the foundation of informed policy, climate financing, and impact waste sector. For example, we have two key data that we need, very important. We need to know the total waste, we need to know the quantity and the composition, we need to know how much goes where, so disposal site, treatment and type, and also for mitigation options, we need to have data on any recycling or reusing or recovering, not reusing, recovery and recycling activities. Now we talk about the mitigation options to reduce the methane, especially for waste in Pakistan. We generally, when we talk about mitigation options or abatement strategies, we must implement them at both pre and post landfill stage. So as per the waste management hierarchy, the waste prevention is the preferred option to manage waste, including organic waste. So the waste prevention or the source reduction describes any measures taken to minimize the generation of waste at the source. And in the context of solid waste methane mitigation, these measures aim actually to reduce the generation of biodegradable waste and associated emission. I have to admit that I was really quite surprised when I was preparing the slides and reading some reports. I found a report published by the Ministry of National Food Security and Research when they estimate that Pakistan annually wastes 26% of its food production. So for that, we need really to set here we have, I'm not going to through all of this recommendation, but we really need to have a national legal framework for food waste reduction. We need really to have a national target for waste reduction, and with a named lead ministry responsible and clear mandate to act. So diverting the biodegradable waste from disposal sites is the best actually way to reduce the methane emissions once the waste has been generated. And by preventing this type of organic waste from reaching landfills and dump sites, we can really avoid future methane emissions. So the most impactful, in my opinion, impactful diversion happens at the source. So before even waste reaches the bin, we have to have source separation programs for organic waste, at least in high yield areas like restaurants, food markets, apartment complexes, and universities. And for there, waste could be redirected to composting facilities, anaerobic digestion plants, or even animal feed processing, rather, of course, than the landfill sites. These alternatives not only reduce the methane emission, but also turn waste into valuable resources like biogas or soil nutrition. Actually, we can we can start within targeted pilot projects, allows cities to test strategies and build the infrastructure for wider implementation. And then ultimately the goal is to scale up these efforts citywide and making the diversion from landfills the norm rather than an exception. Now, so that was the pre-landfill site, and now we are talking about at the landfill site. So now, how to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions from landfills? We must manage how we operate them. Okay, so with maybe starting with basics, like first we only open a small area at a time for dumping waste. This limits exposure and helps control of methane release. And every day we should cover the waste with soil, compost, or old materials like tires. These daily covers reduce the odors and keep the pests away, and most importantly, slow down the production and the release of methane gas, which is a major greenhouse gas. And if a section of the landfill won't be used for a while, then we cover it with a temporary layer. And once a section is full, we apply a final cover to seal it off. And most important, actually, that we should use what we call it bio covers, like compost or green waste on the surface. Why this is important? Because this helps in converting methane into carbon dioxide, which is far less harmful to the climate. As you can see, these are very simple tasks, but effective landfill practices are crucial in cutting greenhouse gas emissions from the waste sector. And yeah, so optimizing the design and the operation of landfills and legal dump sites is really a final opportunity to effectively capture and control the gas. Now, when we talk about collecting and capturing gas, according to EPA, they estimate that the landfill gas collection systems capture around 75% of the methane generated at an active sanitary landfill. Actually, there is uncertainty about achieving these levels in practice, especially converting dump sites into a sanitary landfill with gas capture can still decrease the methane emission and associated health hazards. How we can do that? We can capture landfill gas using a system of wells and pipes. This gas can then be burned off safely, or even better, converted into electricity or heat. To do this effectively, the landfill must be sealed with gas-tight covers, have a proper engineering layers, and be monitoring closely. Capturing and using the landfill gas is really key to cut emissions from the waste sector and meet climate goals. Here are some of the key findings and recommendations for Pakistan. So the first one is actually Pakistan. In Pakistan, the financial barriers are a major obstacle to developing landfill gas projects. Many government officials still lack the understanding need to link these projects with the NDC and greenhouse gas goals. And on the top of that, landfill operators do not have enough training on how to access financing or implement LFG systems. To move forward, we really need strong action. First, we should improve access to affordable capital and offer, if possible, government incentive to make these projects more attractive. And second, and most important, we have to have or to set up training programs to teach landfill staff about financing options, about technical steps. And last but not least, we must create and enforce clear regulations that support the LFG or the landfill gas recovery and its use, and also we build a system for generating carbon credits. Oh yeah, so the slides highlight Pakistan's first carbon market pilot projects under Article 6, the Lokodair landfill in Lahore, which is processing over 5,500 tons of waste daily. And this site actually emits high levels of methane. So the project aims to capture that gas and to produce around 4 megawatts of electricity, reducing reliance on fossil and also generating carbon credits under Article 6. Another example is Karachi's landfill dairy colony. So they produce around over 7,000 tons of animal waste daily. And it's a planned biogas project aims to turn this waste into 22 megawatts of clean electricity and natural fertilizer, reducing methane waste emissions and supporting Pakistan's energy transition. So now we talk a bit briefly, want to present the different cooperative approaches under Article 6. Here we have the 6.2 of the Paris agreements. This allows countries to collaborate by trading emissions reductions, called the internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, or ITMOs. This mechanism actually enables one country to support low carbon projects in another, while both adjust their carbon accounts to avoid double accounting. For example, in Pakistan, Hamouda is working on a dam site rehabilitation project aiming to generate ITMOs. They signed a letter of intent with the Swiss Foundation, and also there are also other different initiatives with Switzerland. They signed with Thailand and Senegal and other countries. So Article 6.4 of the Paris Agreement creates an UN supervised carbon credit system building on clean development mechanism. It allows the emission reduction projects to generate the verified credits called Article 6.4 emission reductions. So these credits can be traded internationally and used towards climate targets. For example, in Pakistan, the ITR company received host country approval for a clean water project in Punjab that's expected to reduce 1.5 million tons of CO2. And then last, we have Article 6.8 of Paris Agreement that focuses on the non-market approaches. This is actually forms of international cooperation that don't involve trading carbon credit, but instead it supports climate actions through finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. Here actually of two examples that might be also like our ideas for projects that might be used. So we have the Japan's joint crediting mechanism shows how Article 6.2 cooperation can be deliver real climate and development benefits. So for this potential example in Pakistan would be the Jamshakro landfill in Karachi, which emits large amounts of methane and with this Japanese support, a project could capture and utilize that methane, reducing emission and improving public health. So the resulting reductions could be traded as ITMOs, helping Japan meet its climate targets while advancing waste management in Pakistan. So it's really a win-win for both countries. We have as well Lahore. So Lahore previously hosted a composting facility that successfully reduced methane emissions and generated carbon credits under the old the clean development mechanism. Today, actually, in my point of view, it presents a strong opportunity to be revitalized under Article 6.4. So basically, by processing organic waste into compost, it can reduce emissions and support agriculture and contribute to Pakistan's climate goals. So yeah, just to wrap up to talk about opportunities and challenges for Pakistan. as we saw through the different slides, Pakistan's waste sector offers actually a big opportunity under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, which allows countries to cooperate on reducing emission through carbon market. Landfill gas projects, for example, can cut methane emissions and generate carbon credit that can be traded internationally. This also could bring much needed climate finance into Pakistan. But of course, there are some key challenges. We face really limited technical capacity, low awareness, and financial barriers that make it hard to start up these projects. This also there is also a need for a strong regulatory framework to measure, report, and verify emissions properly. Yeah, so to unlock all of these opportunities, I believe that Pakistan must invest in training, create clear policies, and develop systems for carbon credit certification. So with the right support, the waste sector can become a climate solution and cutting emissions and bringing revenue through Article 6 cooperation. Thank you for your attention. Back to you, Mavra.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karima, for that really insightful presentation despite being unwell. We really appreciate your time and your expertise. Now moving on to our next session, I would also just like to say that Dr. Karima talked about the Lahore landfill in Punjab. I also wanted to say that this is Spark program's first project that is receiving technical assistance. So this is the importance that we feel that the waste sector has to unlock carbon market potential in Pakistan. So on that note, we have someone who can talk more about the Lahore landfill as well, in addition to general waste management in the Punjab province, especially Lahore. We have Mr. Muhammad Saad, who is a seasoned civil engineer with over 20 years of international experience in infrastructure development and environmental project management, currently serving as General Manager, Planning and Projects at the Lahore Waste Management Company. He brings more than 8 years of dedicated leadership in the solid waste management sector. He has led transformative initiatives, including the Lahore Landfill Valorization Project under UNEP, CCC and Spark. And he has proposed upgradation of the compost facility into resource-efficient MBT plant in collaboration with AFD. He is currently driving LWMC strategic efforts in carbon finance, waste to energy, and circular economy, aligning operations with Pakistan's climate commitments under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. So very excited to have Mr. Saad on board. Over to you.
Thank you, UNEP Copenhagen team, for giving LWMC this opportunity. I will focus on the technical landscape of Lahore's waste operations and how we are preparing selected interventions to align with international carbon market standards, particularly under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. LWMC manages solid waste services across Lahore with direct responsibility for primary and secondary collection, transfer stations, a composting facility, and disposal at Lahore. The systems handle municipal waste volume ranges from 5,000 to 5,500 tons per day. Waste composition studies confirm that over 50% of the stream is organic. In its current state, most of this waste ends up in the landfill without prior treatment, leading to significant methane emissions. This represents a real mitigation opportunity if structured correctly under a recognized carbon market mechanism. On the technical side, three areas are central to our current readiness. First is composting, second is landfill operations, and third is data and monitoring. We have initiated technical assessment to determine baseline emissions and potential reduction volumes. It is important to clarify that LWMC is not treating carbon markets as a funding mechanism in isolation. We are integrating this agenda into long-term operational planning. The goal is to ensure that core investments such as compost expansion, improved segregation, and controlled landfill operations can also meet environmental integrity standards and deliver real verifiable mitigation. We are also aware that under Article 6, crediting requires host country authorization, additionality, and long-term tracking. We are therefore engaging closely with our counterparts at the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination and the UNEP Copenhagen team to ensure technical alignment before proceeding to registration or issuance. In summary, the mitigation potential exists across composting and landfill interventions. The technical systems to support monitoring and reporting are in place and being improved. We are committed to preparing credible standardized documentation aligned with Article 6 methodologies. From a governance perspective, the enabling environment is strengthening. Pakistan has taken important steps to operationalize Article 6, and there is strong momentum for substantial subnational participation. But readiness depends on practical action, clear baselines, reliable data system, project documentation, and operational accountability. LWMC is ready to contribute to Pakistan's broader carbon market strategy, not only as a service provider, but as a technical, credible implementing partner at the city level. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for those insights into LWMC's work. We'd like to now move on to the discussion part of the agenda. But before we do that, I would like to kindly request if all of the panelists could kindly turn on their video camera, so we can take like a bit of a group shot before we proceed. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I think we just have Dr. Karima left if she's, oh no, she's joined. Okay. Now let's actually maybe just keep your videos open if that's okay with you, since we'll be jumping into our Q&A right now with our lovely audience. So the discussion is basically on the mechanisms and policy frameworks for waste to energy projects. But any audience questions, if you have any burning question that you want to ask a particular panelist, then please do let us know which panelist you would like to answer that question. So I would like to ask Allison to kind of jump in on this and do the moderation for the Q&A kindly. And yeah, let's proceed.
Thank you so much, Mavra. I think the first question I would like to ask, and I would actually like to direct it to Karima first and then Mohammed, since you both mentioned it, was about this idea of encouraging sorting. And is Pakistan currently considering any policy instruments to encourage waste sorting at the source, or what's in place right now to help reduce the amount of bio-waste entering the landfill?
Thank you for the question. Yes, Pakistan is gradually introducing policy instruments to promote waste segregation at source, particularly under provisional frameworks. I can give an example of SIN's solid waste management policy, where they promote the source segregation through community awareness and pilot programs.
Thanks, Karima. And Mohammed, would you like to add to that?
Yes, at the moment our waste collection by waste type is mixed waste. We have no segregation mechanism at source currently available. But under the recently launched Sutra Punjab program at the provincial level, we are moving to the to door-to-door collection. And as a second phase to that, once that program is implemented 100%, then at the second phase we will be moving to the segregation at source model, and probably it will take 1 to 2 years. When we will be getting the segregated waste. for further utilization.
Thank you, Mohammed. I'd like to dive a little deeper into that, and because when we're looking at waste, it's a very, say, unique sector in the sense that it's producing it's producing a good that doesn't have any value at the beginning, right? So there actually is a cost to collection, and then you also need to figure out ways to incentivize the population, these centers, to sort this waste, or you need to build some centers for storing that. So maybe you can dive a little bit deeper into, is the population ready for this? What kind of steps would be needed to educate and raise awareness among the population for sorting waste?
Well, I believe the segregation model depends on how the public perceives it and how they respond to it. I believe this is a slow process. I mean, where the general public start responding to it. So what we are doing at the moment is that first the company started to try to improve its collection efficiency, and now I mean for the last 1 year we are moving to improve our waste treatment, processing, and resource recovery. So in that part, we I mean one project which you have already mentioned is the pilot project for the collection of landfill gases from the Lahore, which we will be conducting with the help of Spark 6C. Another project which we are in the final stages, for the implementation is the improvement in the compost plant facility. We would like to improve it to MBT to an MBT plant where the number of technologies will be utilized to maximize the resource recovery. At the moment, our compost plant is operating, but it is underutilized. Normally, you take 20 to 30% resource recovery from a compost plant, but at the moment, our plant is operating at 10% resource recovery. I mean, there are some issues with that, but I believe with the proposed upgradation plans, we can enhance the resource recovery to 70%, and that will definitely reduce the landfilling volume also. In addition, we are planning some segregation and sorting units at our temporary collection points, so that will also improve, I mean, percentage of segregated waste, and then we can explore some more opportunities for the recycling and again for energy recovery or resource recovery.
And Karima, did you want to add into that?
Yeah, I just want to say, well, actually, the waste sorting in Pakistan is still limited, but the public readiness is growing, actually, especially in urban areas, with raising awareness. I saw some pilot initiatives in cities like Islamabad and Karachi. These in these two initiatives, they show that with proper incentives, awareness campaigns, and infrastructures, communities are really willing to participate in source segregation.
Okay, great. I think that leads us to our next question, a little bit more on the technologies. There's some questions about specific technologies such as pyrolysis and biochar. So let's look at that. So this is after the waste has been sorted at source, and now we are looking at the technology side. And let's go to you first, Karima, at this time.
Yeah, so the technologies like biochar are being actually explored in Pakistan, but still on academic level. The how to call it, the pyrolysis based biochar production has been, as I said, has been piloted only on academic institutions and also some private startups focusing on the agriculture waste valorization. I really don't have that much information further.
Mohammed, do you have any other insights on the technology, current and future, in the collection facilities that we're exploring now?
We are currently at the initial stage where we are collaborating with the energy department for installation of waste to energy projects. The discussion is in the initial stage, we have committed about 3,000 tons per day of MSW. I mean, we have informed them that this much quantity can be utilized, but that thing is, I mean, I don't see them coming near future. What we are actively following is, I mean, once we say that we want to upgrade our compost facility to an MPT plant, there we are exploring better methodology for compost making, biogas, then RDF, and then we would like to add some other, technologies like plastic waste processing. So this we are actively following, and we believe that the initial feasibility study should be ready by the year end.
Okay, thank you. And so I think now that raises some really good questions, because we've talked about reducing waste at the source and sorting and reducing the proportion of bio-waste that goes to the collection facilities, and then also the technologies of how to handle waste at the facilities. Now, in the context of Article 6, if we were developing a project, which area would you focus on, and how would you establish a baseline if the collection numbers are changing, and that might affect the efficacy of the technology at the collection facility? Maybe we'll go to you first, Mohammed.
Well, I believe our current operational efficiency is near 90% at the moment. So, I mean, there is very less uh, percentage of waste which is uncollected, and mostly that is related to the what we have studied is related to animal waste and some portion of, recyclables, which our informal sector is collecting it from the source. We have carried out our waste characterization study, and I believe that we can plan on the numbers we have. Again, as I said, as the projects mature, I mean, starting from the MBT, then the segregation at our segregation plants at our temporary collection points, then definitely we would like to have a component for carbon financing also, and I mean, we want to improve on that. I must inform the audience that our operations has been upgraded to division level in the recent Sutra Punjab program. Previously, we were just looking after Lahore city, and now we have started looking SWM operation for the three districts around Lahore. So the scope of our services have enhanced. So I believe there is greater opportunity for such kind of initiative.
Great, thank you.
If I may just,
Yeah,
sorry,
please.
if I may just jump here. I find it very interesting question when we talk on how we can establish a baseline for Article 6 if the collection rate is changing. And actually, indeed, it's not the collection rate is differs from urban and rural areas in Pakistan. But to do that, we can first use historical averages like over 3 to 5 years. And we can also focus on areas with stable waste records. We call that segment data geographically. And we can also include some or take into consideration some dynamic adjustment factors like new contracts or infrastructures. And also what we can do is we validate it with third-party audits and using the GIS. So GIS, I think in Lahore, our waste management company, they use GIS to monitor bin locations, track the collection tracks, and also analyze the waste generation patterns. And all of this will lead definitely to a better route planning and reduce fuel and labor costs.
Great, thank you. And let me ask a little bit of a follow-up on this. We talked about, the baseline. I think that's really a fundamental part of the creating a mitigation activity design document under Article 6. There's a question about how are the reductions in emissions measured actually? So maybe this is a question that's getting into MRV, and maybe there's which technologies are available for establishing the measurement of methane emissions, both before and after the project design. And there's also some question about could GIS be somehow useful in the data for MRV? We'll go to
Well,
Karima. Go ahead, Mohammed. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, I believe MRV system definitely we have to design, and this is something we are looking forward. I mean, to find something from the feasibility study we are planning under this Part 6C program. Uh, I believe we we have a state-of-the-art data collection center at our office, and I believe the MRV system, I mean, which will be required to for effective monitoring, can be integrated with our existing systems, and that can provide a reliable data.
And Karima, do you want to add to that?
I will also start from, I mean, there are three parts of this question. I will start from the last one is when we talk about the GIS systems. So as I mentioned, they are very important, and they help us to reduce waste by mapping hotspots, optimizing the collection routes, and also identifying illegal dumping site. And then there was a part where we talked about the MRV. So the MRV systems in Pakistan are used to track the waste sector emissions, and especially for Article 6 readiness. And the tool include the weight bridge system, smart pins, and GPS tracking for data collection. GIS and remote sensing for landfill monitoring, and also we use some digital platforms like Excel based inventories for reporting. I might miss the last part of the question, but if I heard you properly, we talked about the available mitigation technologies. So this we present during the PowerPoint. We talked about the composting and anaerobic digestion. So this basically for methane reduction. We talked about the landfill gas capture system, and we have as well another opportunities to improve recycling and material recovery, and this basically to avoid virgin production emissions.
Great, thanks. I think that's really interesting, and there's a follow-up question actually I want to ask that I think is relevant here. So given we have good data and we could say like we have really accurate accounting of the emissions, between composting and the production of gas, I guess landfill gas, energy from waste, which is the most useful form of project from a project development point of view? I guess what would be most useful in terms of generating credits, attracting finance, getting approved as a mitigation activity?
Well, I believe gas capturing system, if it is in place, then that can generate certain quantity of carbon credits. But if you perform better recycling, if you apply better recycling facilities, then that can, I believe, the value of those carbon credits. I believe all these technologies can contribute. The flaring will not be that much fruitful. So we should focus on, I mean, capturing mechanism at the landfill, and then recycling part should be focused.
Well, to jump, I want actually maybe there are also some parameters that we take into consideration when we compare composting and landfill gas capture in terms of mitigation. So we will maybe first assess the methane avoidance potential. We can also have data on organic waste quantity and quality. We talk about the capture efficiency and also the emission factors, and and also it depends on the situation. But if good data are available, landfill gas capture can yield really on higher immediate methane reductions where large landfills exist. But this, of course, costs a lot of money, and for the composting, it's also useful for carbon mitigation in Pakistan's context, as it avoids actually emissions from the anaerobic decay.
Let's look at this maybe even from a different angle. I think from our first speaker today from the Ministry of Climate Change, we heard that they definitely want to prioritize those projects which have strong co-benefits in sustainability and local co-benefits. And so from that context, I'm wondering, does that change the perspective or the calculations a little bit? Is there something maybe more useful in producing compost versus landfill gas or vice versa? Let's look at that from that point of view. And maybe we go with you first, Mohammed.
Well, I believe once the segregation model from at source is implemented, then I believe composting and the other such technologies, I mean, they can be more fruitful. But in our current scenario, where all the waste is going to the disposal site, I mean, maximum of quantity is going to that. So in our case, I mean, we have to see. Gas capturing at the landfill also, and then we have to see, I mean, how much methane reduction is being done at from the composting, and then all other future technologies which we adopted. So I believe in our current scenario, definitely the ideal scenario is, I mean, you have a segregated waste, and then you utilize it. I mean, minimum 50% will be emissions can be handled. I must say that 50% of emissions can be handled, and then, I mean, again, that will lead to where we can have some opportunity in the carbon market also. So, but
Before
in
we
our current, yeah.
go ahead.
But
Oh no, yeah, please.
I'm just saying that in our current situation, we have to see our landfilling part also, and then the remaining part from the composting.
Yeah, and before we jump to you, Karima, there's a little bit of a follow-up question on this, Mohammed, from one of our viewers who's asking about what is the current market for compost in your area? Yeah.
At the moment, the prospects are not that bright. I mean, we require some government interventions where the government utilities, they should be asked to utilize our compost. Then there are some regulations issues also from I mean compost making from MSW have low parameters, some kind of low parameters. So that should also be taken care of. So there are some issues at the moment. I mean, there is some public awareness issue also. Those who know about this kind of compost, they are utilizing it, and the feedback is very good from them. But the percentage, if you see the overall scenario, the percentage is very low. We have to work on it.
Great. And Karima, did you want to also answer these questions about
Actually,
sustainable
because
development benefits? Yeah.
I mean, thank you. So, what you mentioned, the co-benefits, and we hear from co-benefits, that means we should take into consideration social, environmental, and or economic advantage to make this mitigation action more valuable, especially in project design under Article 6. For that, maybe we can do a rough comparison between the composting and landfill gas capture. So for the composting, we reduce the waste volume and the landfill pressure. So we don't send the waste to the landfill. We support the urban farming and we reduces as well the chemical fertilizer use and the associated emissions. And last but not least, we enhance the soil fertility. Regarding the landfill gas capture, what we do is we generate renewable energy, basically electricity or heat, and we improve the local air quality, and we reduce the odors and the fire risk at landfills.
Okay, yeah, great. I think those are all things we should take into consideration when designing projects, all these different benefits. On a related question, one of the viewers has asked something about the community involvement in waste projects, and they note that how can communities best be involved in the management of waste? And they're asking this because they have seen a lot of interventions fail because they tend to have adopted a, say, top-down approach, and they haven't really considered the community itself or those interactions. So I just wanted to get ask for your perspective on those things. And this question is to both of you. We'll start with you, Mohammed.
Yeah, LWMC is have started focusing on this aspect also. I mean, we are focusing now on public awareness, and we are planning some road shows regarding to I mean our waste to resource recovery or waste. I mean, with this theme, I mean, where we will encourage, we will showcase what we are doing and what the academia is doing, local academia is doing, and what R&D is taking place in our area. So we want to provide a platform where the public will be provided with the opportunities, with the knowledge, where they can apply those initiatives at their local level also, or I mean. They should be informed of how the environment can be improved. So these are in our plans, and you will see in near future that these events will be taking place in Lahore.
And Karima?
And add please here. So the community involvement in waste projects can be achieved through different ways. Actually, we can set up or organize awareness campaigns on sorting, recycling, and composting. You can set up incentive schemes like pay as you throw or rewarding points. We engage and formalize the informal work group as an example in material recycling facilities, or we can come up with cooperative models. And we also can do we can also target the special groups, I would say, like women groups. And why this is important, especially for Article 6, it increases the adoption of mitigation actions, especially for sorting and composting, and it ensures the local ownership and of the different projects, and also it provides different social and co-benefits, and this definitely strengthen the sustainable development goals alignment and attractiveness of the mitigation activity for the credit buyers.
We have a related question to that. There is a question about what opportunities are there for youth-led organizations working in this space? And they've mentioned a few examples here as Trash It, that has developed decentralized composting models in Karachi, Hyderabad, Balapur, and are now developing Garo. And can this be synergized with the the government, and could it be youth-led SMEs? So I think this is a question about what's the role of youth organizations, and is there any kind of government support or connection with this? Let's do the normal order and go to Mohammed.
Well, LWMC is, the plans are to grow this organization, our organization, as a public, enabler, as a facilitator, and for such kind of initiatives. Again, this is the thrust will be towards general public. The objective is to have the maximum waste utilization, and we will be following both centralized and decentralized approaches. And how we can treat the waste at maximum. So this is what we are planning at the moment. Yeah.
And Karima, did you want to add anything to that?
I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly. So you mean the role of youth organization in mitigation projects, right? So the role that I see for, yeah. So I see that again, they can be leading the community for awareness and behavior change. They can, of course, contribute to innovation and tech use. Developing apps and mapping waste hotspots. There are a lot of young, smart people in doing that. They can also participate in how to call it volunteer mobilization. So they can organize cleanups, they can help in data collection and so on. And they can also contribute to monitoring support, so they can assist in MRV, like with surveys, photo documentation, and so on. That's my point of view.
Great. No, it's good to have some more detail on the community aspect. Let's take a step back again to looking at it from the context of Article 6 in Pakistan, since that's the goal of this series of webinars. I'm wondering why the waste sector? Why should this be prioritized in Pakistan as an Article 6 type of project versus other sectors? What's so attractive about the waste sector as a means for attracting Article 6 financing and reducing emissions? Maybe we start with you, Mohammed.
Well, I believe waste. Recently, the government has started taking this sector very seriously, and then in the last budget, they have devoted a huge quantum of budget for the solid waste management services. If you talk about Punjab province, so and the system is being developed. There is more opportunity if we align it. The issues we take care of the issues like GHG emissions at the start, so we can take the course correction right from the start. The system is being developed, and it can have huge benefits. If you take a collective approach.
If you allow me to jump here, why we must prioritize the waste sector and in Pakistan under Article 6. For the first most important reason, it's a high methane emitter, especially from landfills. And much of Pakistan's waste is organic, in some area up to 60%. So this is completely ideal for composting or biogas projects with a very clear, measurable mitigation. And waste management actually is a development priority aligned with the SDG. And they can offer both and environmental co-benefits. And when we look in the different different mitigation options. To a certain degree, we can consider waste as medium cost and high impact mitigation, especially if we talk on composting and waste diversion, and also some recycling activities. It's a great opportunity actually for the community involvement and job creation, and also gender sensitive approach. It's also an opportunity for carbon carbon markets. So
Yeah, we'll let you take a little break. I think, Mavra, like maybe we want to just do one more question here, because I think one of the things that's really interesting about the waste sector in the context of carbon markets is the concept of additionality. And maybe from my perspective, it seems like this might be one of the sectors that's easier to establish in terms of additionality. Maybe you both want to comment on that?
Yes, I can give you example of compost plant. It was mentioned in the presentation by Karima that we were getting carbon credits in previous CDM mechanism, and we are one of the reasons we want to improve the upgrade that facility is to have the same opportunity from under the Article 6 mechanism also. So, I mean, this is something we should consider and we are aiming for.
Yeah, great. It's like it's a way of taking waste and turning it into a resource, both for financing, also for environmental gain, providing jobs and options for the community, and also just providing a better environmental impact and cleaner cities and all these things. So I think it could be a very nice project from that point of view, from what I've learned from you today. Karima, do you have any final words on that?
I mean, just as you mentioned, the additionality in waste sector means that to a certain degree, mitigation activity like composting or gas capture would not have happened without the carbon finance from Article 6. Why I'm saying that? Because generally the project, well, not generally, the project goes beyond the business as usual, and they are not really required by law or fully enforced policy, and the activity is not only financially viable on its own, but it becomes feasible with the carbon credit revenue. Yeah, that's what I want to add. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both for your answers and your insights and your perspectives on this. I'd like to turn it over back to Mavra, who will bring our webinar to a close.
Thank you so much, Allison. Thank you for moderating this so well, and kind of adding so much flow to these questions and this discussion. And of course, thank you, Dr. Karima and Mr. Saad. Yeah, I would just want to do a quick recap on today's webinar and also some things to look forward to for our attendees. So, I really I feel like what Dr. Karima said at the end made a lot of sense. I feel like not just the financial, but the environmental and social return on investment is so high for waste management projects, and that's why I think it's such a uh, good, industry for us to focus on decarbonization and using Article 6 as an instrument and a vehicle for that. Allison, I really liked what you said about cost of collection, like what's the cost to collection, and I think as a resident of Pakistan, I think other than money, I think it's time, and as both our panelists said, it's also the public awareness associated with that. And what's really interesting, I feel, in the last 5 to 8 years, I've seen that there are so many citizen-led initiatives. In Islamabad, we have some initiative called Papu Kure Wala, this guy who goes door to door, office to office, collecting waste, and helps recycle it. And, like these kinds of initiatives are quite, happening quite a bit. From Mr. Saad, I wanted to point out some of the things that he said that we can look forward to coming up. So one of them was the upgradation plant, which 70% increase in recovery, which is, I think that would be wonderful, and we really look forward to the feasibility study being completed. And then also the 3,000 tons of municipal solid waste that will be being given to the energy department for waste to energy projects. I think that's also something that is very exciting to hear as a person who works in this industry, but as a citizen of Pakistan. Lastly, I just wanted to say about the co-benefits and especially the youth that we all touched upon, that youth-led initiatives are so important. And I think they have more awareness. So how can we leverage this youth momentum for these kinds of projects? I think that would be it's kind of like an untapped space for the government and private sector as well. So thank you so much to all of our panelists and Allison. Thank you for moderating. Just some housekeeping and what our participants can look forward to. We will be sending you a follow-up kind of newsletter about today's webinar, but also the upcoming webinars that we have in mind. And we will be sharing a post-event survey that we would kindly ask you to fill out. And once you have filled out that post-event survey, you will get access to our recording today and I think the presentation materials as well. So please do the survey. It's very important for our knowledge of how to do a better job next time. And yeah, and this is, as we said, it's a webinar series, so do look forward to the next one as well. We'll be in touch and keep watching our space. Do join us on LinkedIn. You can join UNEP CCC's LinkedIn page or 3GI's LinkedIn page, so you can keep getting updates there. So thank you very much, everyone, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a good day.
Thank you.